If you've been keeping up with my market updates over the last few weeks, you'll know that I've been expecting to see lots of downward pressure on sale prices this month due to the really high mortgage rates we saw back in April. In fact, they were the highest rates that we've seen so far this year. Well, I was right last week. This week, not so much. In fact, the average sale price kind of blew my mind when I saw it. So let's take a quick run through the latest stats and trends for the Portland real estate market and see what happened. So the average sale price was way up. It was up by 8% over last week's average and up by 5.4% compared to last year at this time. I was not expecting to see that, especially after seeing last week's kind of low number. Like I've said in the past, we can see a lot of big swings up and down in our week-to-week statistics, and you can see that here in the graph. That's just the nature of dealing with smaller sets of numbers. So this week I just took a quick look at a broader trend, looking at the average sale prices from May 1st up until today. The average came in at around $638,000, and that's up about 2.7% from the same time period last year. So there's our broader trend so far for May. Buyer demand was relatively flat compared to last week, and that was still kind of a decent number, and we still edged out the number of accepted offers we saw last year at this time. Our measure of high intent buyers out looking at homes with their agents continues to rise week after week. This week we saw a healthy 8.6% increase in the number of lockbox opens, and that's on the Oregon side of the border. However, we're still trailing behind last year's numbers. So we still have fewer buyers out looking, but more offers being agreed to by buyers and sellers each week. It really does appear that the buyers who are out this year are much more motivated than they were last year at this time. The supply numbers continue to grow, no change there. At 866 new listings, we did see the biggest number of homes hitting the market so far this year. We also saw a big uptick in price reductions, but mostly on the smaller end of the spectrum. There was roughly a 30% increase in the number of price reductions compared to the previous week. However, most of those increases were made up of small price reductions. The reductions themselves were quite small. And the reason we know that is the number of more substantial price reductions, those of $15,000 or more, remain pretty much the same as the previous week. So most of what we saw were price reductions of less than $15,000. The number of bank-owned homes on the market keeps moderating from the high that we saw just a few weeks ago, and the number of notices of default issued, which is that first step in the foreclosure process, those numbers have been relatively low the past couple of weeks as well, and that's all keeping in line with the trend that we've been experiencing over about the past 18 months. Mortgage rates over this past week fluctuated mostly from about 6.5% to about 6.625%, and that's the best case scenario that I could find for the 30-year fixed mortgage. Most lenders are offering rates around 7% plus or minus. The best mortgage rate that I could find here at the end of the week, it's Friday morning, was up a hair. It was up another 1/8 of a percentage point and landed at 6.75%. Well, that's a wrap for this week. Thank you as always for joining me. Be sure to subscribe and follow this channel to make sure that you don't miss any updates, and feel free to share this video with someone who might be experiencing a little bit of anxiety over the real estate market. Have a great weekend, and I will see you right here next week.